Hello everybody, welcome to Business Blaze. I am your host Simon, and in the video today we're looking at banking errors beyond belief. This is a script written by Steve. We're going to go through it. What we're going to be having today is, I believe there are 5 pretty epic examples, and then we're going to have a couple of bonus facts. It's all good stuff. By the way, I'm sure there are loads we've missed. If you've got better ones, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, let's crack on, shall we? We find it hard enough to manage our money without banks adding to the stress by making errors. I feel that if the bank made an error that wasn't, insane, I just wouldn't notice. Not because I'm just like, oh, I've got so much money, I don't care. It's like, I'll look and it'll be like, oh, you got like a €4 transaction with random company that I don't recognize the name of. I'll be like, I guess I did spend €4 at some point on something. Should probably be better with my money. Financial institutions are now so big that the margin for mistakes is worryingly large. From careless staff to crazy computers. I don't think there's such a thing as a crazy computer though. It's just bad people or people using computers incompetently. Here are some of the most eye-opening cases of bankers making mega mistakes and paying a hefty price for it. Number 1, the RBS computer glitch. I've got a friend from university who works at RBS. It's one of these things, it's like, we have no idea what he does. He's like not in the banks that you go into or whatever, but he's in like their corporate department or whatever. Literally, he was one of my closest friends at university. Would meet up for drinks after university and be like, dude, but what do you actually do? And it's like, oh, I do this, I do that. I send some emails. It's like, but Raj, what do you do? No one knew what Raj did. In 2012, Royal Bank of Scotland was affected by the fallout from a bad software upgrade. What was supposed to be a harmless update to their payments program wound up crippling the system. This led to customers at RBS, NatWest, and Ulster. They were unable to access their accounts not just for a short time, but for several weeks. People couldn't make mortgage payments or use online bank. I wouldn't be too concerned about, I can't log into my online banking. I'd be like, how am I going to buy food? This would be a major priority. What caused the problem? RBS put it down to an inexperienced operative. As quoted by the Register website, this person accidentally deleted stacks of information. It was suggested that poor investment and reliance on outsourcing played a key role in the mess, something that was denied by RBS's top brass. And I know it's like tempting to oh no, it wasn't our outsourcing. I'll be like, yeah, it was definitely the other guys. But whatever, I guess it doesn't really matter who you blame it on. They got a fine from the Financial Conduct Authority for £56 million, which is, I don't know, with the exchange rate these days, that's probably like $57 million. That's pretty rough. Number 2, $3.3 million spending spree. This is probably, the amount of money gets crazier later on, but this is probably my favorite. When a Malaysian student found $4.6 million had been mistakenly placed in her bank account by the Australian bank Westpac in 2012, it led to an epic spending spree. So I read she was actually studying. It wasn't like she's just hanging out in Malaysia and an Australian bank dumps money into her account. She was studying in Australia and had an Australian bank account. It led to this epic spending spree. She promptly went around splashing the cash, buying handbags, jewelry, cashmere pillows, and then she upped her game by buying an apartment.
And it's gone.
She spent like $200,000 in like Chanel or whatever in one session. Her wild excesses were only addressed 4 years later when she was arrested while trying to board a plane. I don't understand how they can misplace like 3.3 or whatever, 4.6, or it was a lot of money, how they can just not notice that money's missing. She managed to burn through, she got 4.6 and she burned through 3.3 million, apparently in just under a year. Prosecutors wanted to nail her for deception, but she escaped jail. I'd see that as kind of fair. I don't think she should go to prison for this. It's bad. And she definitely knew she was doing something wrong, but I don't think you should go to jail. It's kind of the bank's fault. Who's really getting hurt here? It's the bank, and the bank screwed up. It's not like, oh yeah, all our poor other customers, you're stealing from them. No, that's not really how it works. How did this happen? For starters, Westpac had given her an unlimited overdraft facility, which they weren't supposed to do. No Despite the enormous amount spent, her team argued that this fell under the category of an overdraft. Quoted by Sydney Morning Herald, Magistrate Lisa Stapleton said, "It isn't proceeds of crime, it's money we all dream of." Well, yes, Lisa, you're absolutely right. Plus, the student claimed ignorance, saying she thought her parents had given her the funds. Charges were eventually dropped in 2017 and she was declared bankrupt. Fair outcome. But who's like, oh yeah, well, her parents must be like billionaires or something. I found this like $4.6 million in my account and I assumed it was from my parents, but never brought it up with them. Didn't even ask. Let's move on to number 3. the numbers are just getting bigger. The $123 million accident in the land down under, that's Australia, a man's life was turned upside down when he woke up to find $123 million sitting in his bank account. When he called Commonwealth Bank to report the error, what's up with Australia? When they called Commonwealth Bank to report the error, the reaction he received was more than a little surprising. The 9 o'clock news explained in 2016, he said he contacted Commonwealth Bank to notify them about the overdraft and claims a banking representative laughed at him, telling him, "Oh, that's great." I mean, like, Aussies are laid back, but wow. It took a whole 2 weeks for the bank to get in touch about what had caused the issue, said to be a glitch in the system. The funds were removed from his account, bringing the customer's short-lived stint as a multimillionaire to an end. I don't think his life was really turned upside down by this. It's just like, oh, look, I've got loads of money and now I don't. It's kind of a letdown compared to like the crazy spending spree and buying an apartment. Number 4, the bank teller who dozed off. In 2013, an unfortunate German teller was so exhausted that he dozed off at his keyboard, and in the process he pressed down on the 2 key. What happened as a result? Well, he was in the middle of transferring money to the account of a retired person. Instead of 62 euros, this individual received a whopping 222 million euros.
And it's gone.
This reminds me of like an episode of CSI from back in the day when this dude is murdered and then his face falls onto the keyboard and it keeps typing, I think, the letter F, and they work out like from what time they stopped the F, what time he was killed by how many Fs typed out. CSI, I'm not sure. I guess that would work. Needless to say, heads rolled and staff members were fired. The BBC reported, on the day of the erroneous transaction, she had checked 812 documents for mistakes, with most taking just over a second of scrutiny. The judges ruled that there had been no malicious intent on her behalf and that she should have received a warning. Tellers seem especially prone to errors. 2009 saw a New Zealander receive a $10 million overdraft instead of $100,000. $100,000 overdraft? Okay. Apparently the teller just overdid it on the 0 button. Moving on, number 5. Oh yeah, this is the big one. This is the last one. Yeah, this is the big one. That time a bank error gave a guy $92 quadrillion. And just before we get into this, I looked up just to get an idea of, if you don't even know what a quadrillion is, that's 1,000 trillion, and a trillion is 1,000 billion. For some context here, there are no trillionaires. The richest man in the world is Jeff Bezos, and he's got like $150 billion or whatever. So to have 150 trillion, it'd have to be 1,000 times richer than he is. To have 150 quadrillion, it'd have to be 1,000,000 times richer than he is. And that's the amount this guy almost got. To give you some more context, it's really hard to work out how much money there is in the world. I kind of found that it seems to be agreed that it's about $80 trillion in the entire world. That would be like the 92 quadrillion is $92,000 trillion. Yeah, essentially it's thousands and thousands of times more money than actually possibly exists. This one is arguably the mother of all mess-ups. In 2013, a PayPal user just happened to notice a statement that said he had received $92 quadrillion to his account. This instantly made him the richest man in the world, by far. The user had previously used his PayPal for auto part sales. CNN Business reported that before the incident, the most Reynolds ever made from PayPal was a little over $1,000, selling a set of vintage BMW tires. Those are really expensive old tires. PayPal promptly corrected the issue. In a double-edged development, they did offer some money back. I'm betting it wasn't that much. The only thing was they wanted to donate it to a good cause of the customer's choice. Some good came out of it, but does that really make up for not being wealthier than the average software mogul? Average software mogul? Try like 1,000,000 times richer than the most successful man in the world. Let's get into our bonus facts. When Goldman Sachs executive Greg Smith resigned, he didn't go quietly. Smith went public with concerns about the bank's lack of integrity in an open letter. Revelations included clients being openly referred to as Muppets by managing directors, and an emphasis on higher-ups helping themselves rather than customers. I don't want to say that investment banks help themselves rather than their customers, but you got a bit of a reputation, guys. Another bonus fact. Citibank had an embarrassing situation when they were sued by their own head of quality control over the company's mortgage arrangements. She spotted serious irregularities in the system, and when she reported the problem, bosses weren't exactly encouraging. Eventually, Citigroup confessed, and the whistleblower received a cool $31 million. Good lord, it pays to be a whistleblower. I gotta get into it. I would like to be a whistleblower, but I'd like to be that type of whistleblower, the one who gets like $31 million for like like grassing in your own company who, I mean, it's Citigroup. It's not like mum and pop's business. It's like Citigroup. They can afford it. And then you get $31 million. That's the kind of whistleblower you want to be, not like Edward Snowden, who whistleblows on the NSA and then has to live in Russia. That's a story for another day. If you've got ones that you think are better than this, let me know in the comments below. Preferably some that, you know, not, oh, my bank once did this to me, because then I can't really report on that. But if you've got great ones that I missed, I would love to know about them. Maybe we can do a follow-up video to this. Comment below, vote up the ones you like. If you've got suggestions for business plays, let me know, because this was one of mine. This channel's fairly new, so kind of they're all mine right now. But if you've got suggestions that you would like us to make, hit them below. We'll get them written. We'll learn it together. That's what we do. Hit that like button, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.
And it's gone.